Hello everyone, welcome to another video on the channel and welcome to this week's GT Sport Daily Race C race review. And this week we are at Group 4, it's Sardegna Road Track A in reverse. Settings for this race up on the screen. If you happen to have watched the strategy guide, you'll sort of know there is not a whole lot of strategy to it. There's no real tyre wear worries, there's no mandatory tyre, and there is definitely no fuel concerns. And the sort of strategy really is to try and keep your tyres as fresh as possible for the last few laps, as that's where you start to feel a little bit of sort of tyre wear. So as I said, we've got two races to sort of take a look at here, and in the first one we are in the McLaren 650S. This is one of the cars that we used in the strategy guide, and I felt it was quite competitive. For this race we are laying up second on the grid. We had a reasonably good qualifying time when we sort of entered this race. I think we were in the top 60 or 70. So we've qualified quite high for this one, and we've got a Jaguar in front of us and we have an RCZ behind us. So getting this race kicked off, we're immediately into the slipstream of the Jaguar in front, and we'll just try and get settled in over this first lap and see how the pace is looking. So coming through the tricky first corner, and the sort of first lap it's pretty much full throttle. This was actually my first race, so I wasn't sure, so we just had a little bit of a lift off. Braking nice and early for the sort of first proper corner on the first lap. Jaguar goes a little bit deep, so it allows us to get a little bit closer. And in these very, very early stages, it does look like the Spanish driver is a little bit under pressure from us. We do appear to have a little bit more pace, but it is very early days, so once you sort of both get settled into the race, it'll be interesting to see how the pace is looking between us. We've got the close attentions of J Balding and the RCZ behind us, so we've got to be careful as well as we try to attack this Jaguar. So we're just going to fast forward to the end of the first lap, and we'll rejoin the action. Coming into the tricky first corner, the Jaguar in front of the Spaniard, he's going to get a little bit raw, he's going to clip that barrier, and that's going to give us a run down the outside into turn 2. We're not close enough to make a move, and we end up actually getting hung out to dry a little bit, and that allows J Balding in the RCZ to get alongside us in the run down to turn 3, but he does back out and sort of file back in behind us, because this corner is certainly single file only. You can get a much better run in the Jaguar out that turn 3. Again, very hard to make an overtake into this sort of braking zone. You're kind of on the brakes, you're turning, and you have to really be fully committed if you're going to get the move there. And at this point it was a little bit too early in the race to be kind of really sending a dive down the inside. But we certainly seem to have a pace advantage over the Spaniard, and we're putting him under quite a lot of pressure. As we jump forward to lap 3 here, he has managed to sort of gap us a little bit, and we're under pressure from the RCZ behind. So coming into what I think is the trickiest corner on the track, is kind of, I don't know, about 120 degree right hander. We get it all wrong on the exit, hit the wall, and the RCZ is going to get a run at us down into the left hander. But this left hander is immediately followed by a right hander, so as long as you can just keep it nice and clean, you'll have the inside line for the next part, and that's exactly what to do. Both me and the RCZ gave each other space and a nice bit of racing, but we managed to keep our position, and we can see if we can get back onto the tail of this Jaguar and start putting him under some more pressure. So onto the main straight we come, firmly in the slipstream, and we'll jump forward here to lap 4. Now we have caught up with the Jaguar again. He was having a lot of trouble in that turn 3 there. It seemed like every lap we were sort of significantly closing up on the green car in front. Certainly just not managing to get it nice and tight to the barrier. Again, he was taking too much speed into this corner as well, compromising his exit, and we're now firmly in the slipstream and on the bumper of the Jaguar in front as we come to this full throttle section. Now it is very difficult to make a move at this part of the track just because of the way the track sort of curves. But if you can get a run round this curve here, and you can get into the braking zone for the sort of difficult right-hander it is possible you can overtake. The Jaguar goes defensive, we try to hang it round the outside, but we get no room and we get given a slight tap. Jaguar driver does apologise by putting the hazards on, but we're under pressure now from the RCZ, but it just decides to give us a little bit of a bump draft. So I think the sort of RCZ seen that we've been kind of put into the wall there, and it wasn't really our fault, so we didn't really try too hard to make the overtake. So I do appreciate that courteous driving from J Balding. So we're going to jump forward here to lap 5. Again, we're firmly in the slipstream of the Jaguar here, coming towards the same corner that we've just been put into the wall, but we're not close enough to make a move. The Jaguar driver still feeling the need to go defensive, ever so slightly, and as we get an exit he's going to have to go defensive down into the left right hander, but we actually make a little bit of contact with the bumper, and that again we have to sort of hold on for a little bit before we can start to make the move. But we are now on to lap 7 and we are getting to the point where we're going to have to maybe force a move on this Spaniard. He's definitely shown his intentions to defend every single corner if necessary, and this is probably a part of my driving where I'm a little bit guilty of just being too kind instead of being a little bit more aggressive when it comes to an overtake. And once again we get squeezed by the Spaniard as he quite aggressively defends each and every corner. So I was starting to probably get a little bit annoyed at this point. The Spanish driver was showing quite a lot of aggression in his defending. I think I'd been more than kind and courteous in my sort of driving behind him. I hadn't made any unnecessary contacts, I certainly hadn't went for any silly dives, but I was now beginning to get a little bit annoyed in their face and thinking there's no way I'm going to let you win this one, if you like. So it was definitely time to start getting a little bit creative with our driving and see if we could get the move. So we go for a dummy. Jaguar driver again, I think he actually moves in the braking zone there to try and defend. Makes a kind of second move if you ask me. Couldn't really capitalise on it because we went too deep into the corner as well, but he's now fully defensive going into the left right hander. We brake nice and early, take a much tighter line, and we managed to get the cutback coming into the the right hand part of the corner, and we've managed to get our car alongside the Jaguar down into the sort of braking zone, and we're going to be in the inside for the last corner. So at this point I thought I've got the move done, and it so often happens I just catch this curb here, get a slide on and completely compromise my exit onto the main straight, and that's going to give the Jaguar a run on me down into turn 1. So we go defensive. I thought if the Jaguar wants to be uber defensive then I can play that game as well. We've got him right up against the wall. I've no obligation to sort of change my line, but we do change our line ever so slightly. Coming into turn 1, Jaguar gets it a little bit wrong and we're going to go for an outbraking manoeuvre down the outside into turn 2. So we've got the car fully alongside, we're fully alongside as we turn into the corner, and the Jaguar in all fairness does give us room on the exit. We get better traction out the corner and we're enough ahead coming into this sort of tricky right hander. It's single file there and we now have the move completed. So it's been a long time coming. It's taken till the beginning of lap 8, putting pressure on the Spanish driver, but we finally get the move done and we're into the lead. So really that's this one pretty much said and done. We are actually going to go on here and win this one fairly comfortable. But the sort of lesson to sort of take from this one is, even though I was getting a bit frustrated with the sort of aggressive defence from the Spanish driver, and I would just say he was being very aggressive, I don't think the driver was being dirty, but we managed to keep our cool and finally execute a good overtaking manoeuvre. And because we never did anything too stupid, we were sort of very courteous and respectful of the Spanish driver. When it came to actually getting the move completed, they did give us space on the outside, when many a time somebody would just run you off the track in that situation. So it was a very enjoyable race with Brew's fast lap. We did seem to quite have the pace in that F-Type Jaguar. I've not actually tried that car myself, so it's possibly we were just in the better car for this combination. But yeah, a very sort of prolonged battle with the Jaguar there. It was very enjoyable. We come away with the victory, win number 35. I think we've got about 500 races in the account, so wins don't come too often in all fairness, so it's always nice to pick up a victory. Moving on to race 2 on the video. Now we did do this race immediately after the victory in the McLaren, but we have decided to change things up a little bit and we went for the car we used in the strategy guide, which is the Lexus RC F. And on this account we've got a rather fitting Iron Brew livery on the car. So starting this one in 4th place, there is some familiar names from the first race on the grid for this one as well, as you would expect. And this first lap is not going to go particularly well. So we are going to join on board in the top right hand corner of the screen with the driver in 9th place, Ackerman, I think actually 8th place, so it's Ackerman in the TT, and he is going to cause us a few issues over this first lap. So again, on the run down to turn number 1, off the start I had learned by this point that I didn't need to lift, but even so I actually still did lift anyway. And we're going to get into turn 2 without too many issues. But this is where the fun and games are going to start. There's a little bit of a collision between first and second place. That allows second and third to get alongside each other, and first place has also picked up a penalty. But as I've said before, too wide into this corner here does not work. That puts the GTR wide, puts us in a bit of a difficult position because we've got nowhere to go, and we're alongside our Spanish friend from the first race. We have to sort of lift a little bit. There's a little bits of ping pong going on, cars hitting barriers, and the Audi is just going to come in like a steamroller and fire us off the track. He has picked up a 2-second penalty. I don't know if that was for the collision with us or another collision earlier on in the lap. But that does drop us down to 9th place, and to be perfectly honest with you, we were lucky we never got spun round. So we are still in the fight at the very least. We're coming under pressure from a sip from behind us. He actually sends it down the inside into this corner. I did think it was a dive initially, but he gets the car stopped absolutely perfectly on the apex. It's actually a really good overtaking manoeuvre. So fair play to Speedy Boss. Now we've dropped down to 10th place now, so from 4th to 10th in half a lap. It's not been a good start to this race. But we're still in the fight, as we said before. We've got the German who caused us the initial problems serving a penalty there, so that's one position made up straight away. And in this race, there's always hope that there's going to be some kind of contact drama, penalties and all that to try and make up some more positions. So coming across the line to complete turn 1, we're in the slipstream of the Citroen in front. We've got the close attentions of a Frenchman and a Mitsubishi Lancer behind us, but we've definitely got the legs on that car down the straight. Coming into the first corner, Citroen driver is going to get it all wrong, and our Spanish friend from the first race has got it even more wrong. He is facing backwards, and that's 2 easy positions made up. There's been some contact into turn number 2. Our German friend who cost us at the beginning of the lap makes a dive into turn 2 on lap 2, and again we come off the worst from it. So we've made up some positions and we lost a couple of positions, but we're now into 7th place. And again, despite the contact and the annoyances from those things, we are still in the fight, and there's still potential to move forward in this race. And we're going to move forward fairly quickly, as our German friend makes a mistake into the sort of tricky right-hander, as I keep calling it, hits the barrier, and that allows us to move up to 6th place. And as we speed forward a little bit into turn 1, is going to claim another victim, not quite to the same extent as the drivers in the previous lap, but the Lancer's going to go wide, hit the barrier, and that's going to allow us to make the move up the inside into turn 2. So we are now up into 5th place, nearly into the position that we started. It was a fairly disastrous first lap, but we managed to sort of capitalise on some other drivers' mistakes. And as we jump forward to lap 5, we've actually caught the car in 4th place, Diglett in the Audi TT. And we've caught him fairly quickly, and we go for the overtake manoeuvre around the outside, but he decides he wants to defend that one, which he has every right to do so. But one thing I would say is that this driver here started in 10th place. He's up into 4th place, and we sort of closed down a 2-second gap over about a lap and a bit. So we're quite clearly quicker than this driver, and I would have said if he was going to sort of drive fairly smart, he would probably just let us pass nice and easy into an easy overtaking zone, and then use our slipstream to get pulled forward. But you know, this driver's allowed to drive their race whatever way they want to. If they want to defend and fight for the position, then that's absolutely their right to do so. But I just think if you were using a little bit of racecraft, you kind of got to pick your battles, you know. And if a driver's catching you by 2 seconds over the course of a lap, then they're going to get by you at some point. And if you're going to sort of defend pretty aggressively, then you're going to lose a lot more time that way. But we get a run down in towards turn 1 and turn 2. Not close enough to go for a move. Diglett does go defensive, and we do take a look down the outside, but we're not so really close enough to get the move completed, and we sort of let Diglett file back in, and we'll sort of try and work out the move a little bit later on in the lap. So again, we're putting the Audi TT here under a lot of pressure. He's not made any major mistakes up till this point, so we've not been able to get a nice easy overtake, but I think really with this one it was just a matter of time before we got the move made. We clearly were quite a bit quicker, and even if we couldn't get by that way, then eventually the Audi TT's front tyres are going to go over the last couple of laps, and the overtake would be inevitable. But we do have a good run down towards this sort of power zone here, this full throttle zone, and we've managed to get just alongside into the curve to the left, and that gives us the inside for this tricky right-hander. And Diglett gives us the space and the respect and allows us to make a nice clean overtake. So nice bit of driving and racing with Diglett. I think he maybe floated just a little bit hard, given how quickly we were able to close up on his car, and I think he probably cost himself a bit more time than he needed to. And the reason I say that he probably cost himself a little bit more time than he needed to is that the fighting with me essentially allowed the cars behind us to close up, and by the end of the race he will lose both those positions as well. I do think if he'd kind of just accepted the inevitable, let us overtake him once we caught him, he could have stuck in our slipstream and perhaps held on to a higher finishing position. But really, once we got past the Audi TT, that was that race, said and done. The gap to the car in front, I think, was over 4 seconds. We did put in some pretty good lap times for the Lexus, that is. We couldn't quite sort of break that 150 barrier, but we're nice and consistent, doing 150.1s, and we did close the gap down to the McLaren in front of us by half. But it was going to be a 4th place finish for this one, which, given that we'd sort of dropped down to 10th place at the end of lap 1, or sorry, midway through lap 1, recovering back to 4th place in a fairly unfancy car was a pretty good result. So hopefully some entertaining races there for you to take a look over. Hopefully I've talked through my sort of driving and my decisions quite well. Maybe some helpful tips in there. Anyway, as we did on the last video, we shall leave you with the post-race chat. It was quite an interesting first lap. There is some interesting comments made as this plays out. But if you've made it this far into the video, thank you very much for watching. Please hit that like button, please hit that subscribe button if you already haven't. I do appreciate the support. The subscriber count is very, very slowly going up. I think we're at about 715 as this video is going live. So we are slowly working our way to that 1k. But again, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you on the next one. Goodbye now.